Welcome into sort of a special edition of Inside Carolina Podcast. Sitting here in the Purple Bowl on Franklin Street, obviously a happening spot, obviously a happening person in Carolina days. Head coach of field hockey, Erin Matson. How are you doing, Erin?
Good. This is so fun and exciting, and Purple Bowl has a special place in all of our hearts, and so do you, and so does the field hockey program. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, you're too kind. I want to ask you first, and this was not my first question initially, but Women's Health Magazine.
Yeah.
The Wonder Kid. Tell me how that came about and how you feel about it.
Yeah, they my agent reached out one day and said they wanted to do a story on female icons in coaching, and I was flattered, obviously, but. It's just, I'm grateful that they want to cover any story that, I'm a part of, but also Carolina, our field hockey program, getting this kind of exposure and being next to names like Dawn Staley and Emma Hayes and just every icon they named. It was really cool. And it came out yesterday, I think, or my agent let me know about it yesterday, and then they posted today, asked me to collaborate on it. I went to my workout this morning early and accepted, and then next thing you know, now everyone's talking about it, which is great. So, yeah.
What's it like? Did young Erin Matson, and if you're watching this, go to womenshealthmagazine.com, and the story's up there, but did young Erin Matson ever think this was a thing?
Gosh, no, Tommy. Honestly, young Erin Matson just was trying to take care of business one game at a time, and one class at a time, one trip, whatever it was. And it's funny not to, create a lesson out of it, but at the same time, it's kind of how my mind operates, and it's how we operate as a program. I never thought any of this was going to happen, and I think that's why it happened. And I coach like that in terms of setting records and this and that. Like, you can never have the end goal as the thing that you're only focused on. You have to break it down, and actually this article talks about that. But I just wanted to show up every day. We had a great season just because we had great practices and great film sessions, and we didn't get ahead of ourselves. And same with my coaching career. It's not, we have our end goal, but that's honestly not what we're focused on the majority of the time. And then we talk about all of those results just being the byproduct of our smaller actions. So no, young Erin had no idea this was going to be written.
It was pretty cool, and like you mentioned, to be in company with some of those names. I want to sort of talk. You're 3 years into your coaching, 2.5 into your coaching.
That's crazy to think about.
We talked right after you were hired, and it seems like yesterday. Mm-hmm. But when you look at your growth from the day you were hired until today, in first part of October in 2025, how have you grown as a coach? Not as a player or as a person, but strictly as a coach.
Sure. I do think the way I coach started as a player, and again, like freshman year compared to fifth year senior Erin is a different person, and just like anybody. And I think I've carried a lot of those lessons into coaching, which at that time, I didn't even know that was going to be things I would lean on. But as a coach, in a very broad general sense, the first year was just what we have, our system, the time we practice, all the little things, like it works. I don't need to change that, and let me just absorb and learn and get settled in a way. There was just a ton of learning. Second year for me was, okay, we did some learning, a lot of learning, and part of what I love about my job is that I'll be learning for as long as I do this. But second year was kind of like, okay, now I'll take everything that I was now a part of and let's execute again. And now with year 3, I'm more in a place where, not in a complacent way, I don't operate like that, we don't operate like that, but I feel settled where now my mindset's more, let's build. Where in the first couple of years, I couldn't do that. I had ideas and I had things to implement, and I did here and there, but again, it was more just let's get settled.
Right.
Where now it's so fun from big or small things to be able to build and just create more. And I think it aligns with my coaching style as well, in terms of just understanding, like everyone says, every season is different, every team is different, every player on your team is different and needs something different to get the best out of them. But it's now been 3 years of experiencing that and going through that, and I think that's what drives me every day, is because there has to be so much intention and purpose behind every action, and it's just been an interesting journey to realize that and do that every day.
Has it been a difficult challenge? And we talked about this before in theory, and then before this season. Has it been difficult to sort of impress everything matters on young players today? Now we have a completely different college landscape, and it's filtered down to field hockey and other Olympic sports with NIL and agents and all of this other stuff. Has it been difficult to impress on these young females and young athletes? Everything we do matters, whether it's here, whether it's on the field, whether it's getting your sleep right, any and everything is important.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I don't think that's, it's something that's been the case. It still is the case, and I think it will be the case for whatever year it is, whatever generation it is. Like, yes, that's something we harp on, just because it all does matter. And it's hard to, again, thinking back to me as a freshman, I was raised that way from a very young age, and I had to understand that just in the position I was in. But that's not the case for everybody. And I think, again, we focus on the details and the little parts of the literal game of field hockey, but life and how it all does impact and add up. And it gives you just a little edge here and there, and all of these 1%, all of a sudden you're this far ahead of the competition in whatever sense that means. So, I think that is a puzzle and a challenge in a way, but at the same time, I get a lot of energy from that, because when they finally realize one thing or multiple things or whatever that we've been telling them or been training with them or asking of them, that it works, because all we're here to literally help them and to serve them. So we're very intentional. Like, I'm not asking them to do things, as you can imagine, that wouldn't help them. And they need to realize it themselves. That's where the buy-in is. That's where you find it turning into habits, because they own it. And once they do, I mean, that's why we do this as coaches, because it's okay, you're getting it. And you're succeeding because of it, which is what we want. So yeah, it's definitely drilling it into them verbally, putting them in situations where they can train it or live it every single day. Rewarding it when we see progress, and making sure that they're hearing that we appreciate it or notice it, or that they're doing well in all the different ways. But it's definitely a challenge, but it is rewarding.
So turn into this season, obviously you started hot. You had to go to Iowa City and play Big Ten Challenge. How did that scheduling work, or that the way the schedule is set up, sort of help your team in year 3 here? You go on the road, you play highly ranked teams. You don't start at home against softer teams. Did you plan it that way? Did you want it that way? And have you seen the results of that?
Yeah, no. So we didn't plan it. Well, to start with, we didn't plan it that way. We always start with ACC Big Ten Challenge is what we call it. It's 4 schools. It rotates through the 4 schools with who hosts for that year. And the way our schedule works with the ACC, our first 3 weekends are out-of-conference weekends until ACC play starts. We get our ACC schedule, and we have to plan our out-of-conference games. And we're years in advance. So, we're nailing down 26 already thinking about 27. But this was the case this year. And to your point, heavy travel weekend for us. It's just the reality. It's not easy to get from Raleigh-Durham to Iowa. And it's to top 10 matchups, most of the time, most of the years. But that's kind of how we like it. We train really hard. Our practices are really intense. We're known for that because it creates the environment that they become familiar with. So in a game, it's just flow state. Let's just execute. And that's exactly how we start off the season. We get right into it. We like the hard matchups. They like it. They get motivation from it. And obviously we would love to be at home any chance we can get. But it's fun to go on the road too and take what we're doing to another place and especially when it's, there's hype around, natural hype around the game with the conference, matchup, and then also the game going to be a fast, intense game. So we like it.
You've got a young team, but you also have plenty of vets. You got Charlie, Riley, and Danny's come in. How has that blend? Every team's different.
Yeah.
You have a standard, but how has the blend of young and old for this year been really beneficial? Because you need a mix, obviously, to keep the program going, but you need those old vets that know where you're going.
Right. Yeah, no, and I think this has been the most interesting piece of this season for me because it's very new in a way with my coaching career, because when I inherited the team, it was, we had 2 3-time national champions on the team. Even last year we had that, and then we graduated 12, which we've talked about. Half of our team brought in 8 freshmen and 3 transfers. So like you're saying, instead of it being a completely young team, or how it's been the past 2 years, a very experienced team and mature in terms of experience, now it's like both ends of the spectrum, where we have vets and we have national champions on the team, and we have freshmen who are playing at the highest level in our sport right out of the gate. And I think it's been fun for us in a way to navigate that, because again, every season's different, every team is different, but this one's very different for me, with it being year 3. So I think our leadership, we've seen the vets driving the standard and holding their teammates accountable in a very beneficial way. We have a very competitive environment, and that's when you come here. You like the high-performing, elite, competitive environment. And our seniors and upperclassmen are setting that. Transfers, vets, whatever you want to call it, they're setting that. And then the young ones, it's so, I guess, like, fun. It is fun to see them kind of just, like, lean into it. And they're fearless and they're brave. And it's just a really cool, conjoining of both ends of the spectrum there. And I think the season itself, that's played a factor in how it's been different for us as a staff, because most of them are young in terms of experience, and that means there needs to be lessons learned, and they don't have anything to compare situations to, which in some instances so far this season it's helped us, because they're like, I'm not going to overthink this, I'm just going to do. I'm just, you tell me to do something, or I'm just going to react, or whatever it is. Like, there's no thought process almost, which in some cases that's what you want. And then in others, in other moments, you need, or at least it would be beneficial to be able to lean on past experiences. So it's kind of how we've led with this season. Obviously, I'm sure we'll talk about this past Friday, and our loss this season and everything. And obviously no one likes losing, but in our minds as a staff, that's what this team needs to work through. And those moments, and we're not sugarcoating things. I think everybody knows our vibe of the program and the way I coach by now, that's not how we do things. But at the same time, like, guys, this can make us better. And there's been a couple of things this season like that, hey, maybe it's not rainbows and butterflies. 1, we don't want that anyway. But 2, like, this is what this group needs, and that's okay. So let's just lean into that.
Yeah, we're definitely on the same page, because I was going to ask you about, it's easy when you win.
Right.
And North Carolina, most of these players have won.
Yeah.
Then you go to Wake Forest and you have a game where you don't play your best, things don't go as you probably planned and prepped and all that, and you lose.
Right.
How does that make you better? I've always thought with athletes, they listen up to a point, but then they need to get smacked in the face.
Yeah.
And so how does a loss to Wake Forest ultimately help this team be better?
Yeah. It's funny the way the universe works, right? And then I'm driving back on the bus after Wake Forest, and I'm on Instagram, and I have my headphones in, like, no one talked to me, whatever. And a quote comes up on my Instagram feed, and it's like, you win or you learn. Do you really ever lose? And it's so simple, but that's totally how we operate. And we've proven you can learn from the wins, But I didn't view Friday as a loss against Wake. Yes, we didn't play our best, like you're saying. Yes, we made some decisions that hurt us with being a man down and this and that. One thing I can promise to anybody who follows along is that it's also unique as a coach because I never had this mindset as a player, but any mistake that's made with this group comes from a place of wanting it so badly. And it's not correlated with not trying hard enough or not understanding. It's almost like we want it so badly, we get excited and then we get it hard and then we're man down, or I want to score this so badly, so I'm not going to use the better pass. And it's like, if there's an issue, that's the one we want because they want to compete, they want to win, they want what's best for the team. So we talked about that with them. But also, if you look at our season so far as a whole, back to the first weekend, heavy travel, top 10 matchup. Let's see what this group can do. We went, up to Princeton and had a 60-minute battle to the end that this team had to work through, and we had the lead, and we had to hold on to that. We've played man down, man up, goalkeeper out. We've played overtime now. Like all of these lessons, it's like expedited this year, and the loss was one of them. But we talked about, we can sit here and sulk and, feel bad about ourselves, or I can have the players who feel, who work so hard on themselves, staying up all night, analyzing the play, just like I would have done and being like, it's my fault, or we can just learn from it and it can make us better. And that's exactly, what we did. And we came back Sunday and had another chance to play, and they handled it really well when it would have been really easy to go internal, or they're not familiar with losing. So there was, a lot that could have happened, and all we cared about was them sticking together, bouncing back, and just learning from it. And let's not make the same mistake 2-3 times, and just how do we respond? So, no, I'm really proud of them. Again, I'm not trying to lose, but if it does happen, let's just see the benefit in it and use it to our advantage to get better.
When I look at your stats, you play a ton of players. It's interesting, your goalies, Merritt and Katie, play the same amount. Is that all part of the plan? A, to keep everybody happy, but to plan for worst case scenarios, somebody gets hurt or all. Just sort of walk us through how you handle that aspect on the field with a roster with tons of talent.
Yeah. Well, starting very simply, one of my assistants, Manuel, he runs he creates the subbing sheet, and Poppy, she works it in the game and makes sure, and we, have a plan, but if someone's feeling hot, we'll leave them in. If someone's, for whatever reason, dealing with, it's tight or not feeling great or not playing well, like we'll always adapt and everything, but we have our plan set. So they make it easy on me, so I don't need to worry about that in games, and I can focus on broader things. But we have a plan there to rotate through. I hope everybody's happy, but that's not what we're doing at the end of the day. We're here to win, and we're very clear with them. Playing time is earned, it's not promised, and it's fluid. Like our starting lineup can change the way we sub, who's getting what minutes throughout a game. That can change just if you're showing up every week. But again, it all goes back to just what's best for the team in terms of us coming out with a win. So we're lucky and fortunate that we have a ton of talent and a ton of people who can make an impact, whether they are fifth-year seniors or freshmen, or anything in between. But it comes down to, one, how long can they be out there? We play a very fast, exciting game of hockey, and it's tiring. And they should be coming off, gasping and asking for water, but then do that quickly and get back on. But we sub to make sure they feel good throughout the game, and that we can get the most out of them every game. But again, because everybody out on that field is helping us get a win, and even if they're not getting on the field, they still have a valuable role in the game, practices, the energy of the moments, all of it. So we appreciate whatever role is being played, and it comes down to who's giving us what we need, and to the goalkeeper's point, Merritt and Katie are both strong goalkeepers. And just like with everybody, we're upfront with them. We're going to split time. You guys, they have a great relationship, but there's not a clear, favorite, I guess, if you will. They're both doing exactly what we need in their own ways. And we'll continue doing this until there is a clear reason or there's not. And we'll just keep doing it because it's working.
Obviously, it's a village. You talked a lot about the support you've gotten as a field hockey coach. We've seen support across the athletic program here. You got local businesses support you guys and all that. I want to ask about your most recent, not hire because he's been with y'all, but Garen comes in as director of operations. How does that sort of push field hockey forward? And not only that, but take a lot off you to have somebody handle those
definitely. Well, that's I'm extremely grateful for the support that comes from Carolina. I've talked about that before, but thank you for giving me a chance to talk about my staff because it's a game changer for myself and my ability to lead, but also again, at the end of the day, why we're here is for our student athletes and our Tar Heels, and to have the size of staff I have with not just, a number of assistants and this and that, but really quality people and, coworkers and what they do, staff members. It's a total game changer. It's funny. We show up at other places and they're like, oh gosh, the Army's here because of we've got our student managers, I have 3 assistants, we have our performance analyst who helps with breaking down our video and our GPS data and game reports and analytics and everything. And then, luckily now we have Garen not as a student manager, grad assistant, but now officially as our director of ops. And it all plays a factor. So that 1, we can work together as a unit. 2, we can provide way more resources than anybody else because we have so many hands on deck. And then 3, it allows my assistants, but also myself, to be a coach, where I'm not having to gracefully spend time making too many spreadsheets and planning travel and all of that adds up. It takes energy and focus and attention to detail. And Garen, he's amazing, along with every single member of my staff. I talk about it often with him because I think it's one of his biggest strengths, and also the rest of my staff's, but we're very good at anticipating each other's needs. And I think in a role like his, with director of ops and for our program, a lot, it stems from that. I could ramble about his genuine passion and everything about this place and our program. And I'm very grateful that I have him now as an official director of ops, that position. Thank you, Bubba, for that, because it does make a difference. But also, I have an entire staff who genuinely care and are really good at what they do, and we have a lot of fun together. I've definitely learned the importance of,
delegation.
And, definitely, and being able to do that. That was a skill I needed to learn too. So. But it takes people to be able to delegate to. That's hands down what I have.
So it's always fun to talk to you. I don't want to take up too much time, but I do have a couple fun questions.
Okay.
What if you are the head coach? What is a acceptable shots on goal percentage for a player?
Oh goodness. That's actually a great question. They should know that. 100? No.
I asked for a purpose.
I'm going to go back to the office now and ask for a performance analyst. We have a couple percentages we watch and everything. We honestly don't get too caught up in the data side of it. We use the data and the numbers to supplement, or I guess to confirm or deny our coaching eye.
Yeah.
That's why we are coaches. But the numbers don't lie. So I would be curious about Riley, Charlie, some of our girls.
I was going to say, is it 35%? Is it 40%?
I don't know.
Do you know yours?
No.
Do you know yours for your career?
No, I don't, but I'm curious. Do you know one?
26%.
26. Oh, I feel like that's low.
It seems like it, right?
Shots on cage?
Shots on goal percentage.
26%.
And you're considered what?
Yeah.
What are you considered one of the best ever to do it?
26.
No,
See, there you go.
when I was looking at the numbers, I did think it was fascinating.
Do you
Shots
have
on
these?
goal percent 70%.
Oh, Riley's kicking my butt.
But you got
Riley, good job.
you
That's
got
what you
the
want,
difference.
right? As
Yeah.
a coach, you want your player to beat you, and that's why her jersey will be. Mine's up in the stadium. She's kicking me out, getting retired.
It's going to be, the Riley
Good.
Heck Stadium.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
What is the goal every year? I know it's to win,
Yeah.
but ultimately, what is your goal? What's your purpose? What's your why?
Sure. So my, I guess attached to outcome answer is national championship, which doesn't happen without a Final Four appearance, which, usually means we got to win the ACC tournament and regular season champs, and then one game at a time. The whole
All
answer
the
that it's
usual.
true. Yeah. And it's, it flows off the tongue and it comes to mind right away because that's, again, I'm a process-oriented person, and that's what drives me when it comes to, tangible trophies, outcomes, results, whatever you want to call it. And my mind does operate in that way. But I genuinely, I truly believe it's my job not to bark orders or, I don't know, we ask a lot of questions. We're very collaborative. It's the way I lead because I firmly believe it's my job to just help them discover the greatness within themselves. I can sit here all day across the table and say, you're amazing, you're whatever, and that, trust me, that plays a part in it, but what am I doing every single day to help them come across that themselves? Because that's where the power is, and that's what's long lasting. So whatever that means, but I want them to, day to day, year after year, and even when they graduate here, to remember that feeling and define that feeling. And then just always have some place to come home to. I want them to know that I'm hard on them because I care. And, you heard it forever. If someone's on you and making you better and challenging you, and sometimes it's tough love and everything, that's because they care and they see it in you. The minute they give up on you, that's when, that's when you know. So I think they know that, but it's because I want to get the most out of them here and help them discover that even their limits, they can break them. But then afterwards, when they're done and hopefully have all of the byproducts of the wins and the trophies and this and that of just all of the little actions, that they want to come back and that they feel like they're a part of the family and that they feel like they got better here as a person. So two different answers that are aligned, but they just showing up for them drives me.
Absolutely. That is Erin Matson, national champion as a head coach and a player, and now an icon of women's coaching. And
Thank you.
it's always fascinating to talk to you because of your depth of knowledge, but not only the depth of knowledge, but the depth of having done it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they often say, if you can't, you coach.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did, and you
Yeah.
coach, and it's a pretty cool mix.
Thank
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. No, this was a blast. I hope to be back.
Yeah, 100%. Check out Inside Carolina for more coverage of field hockey, more coverage of everything. Shout out to Johnny's T-shirt, and shout out to Purple Bowl. If you haven't been
Go
here,
Paula.
you got to come to the Purple Bowl. Get your fix, get your breakfast fix. It's always fun. Erin, thanks.
Thank you.